everybody. Welcome to the show again. I've got a fantastic guest with us this week, and it's Russ Kellett. Russ Kellett is a ufologist. I think one of these. A bit of a bio on yourself, please.
I'm looking for the.
First of all, welcome to the show, Russ.
Right, yeah.
It's coming on later.
Looking for him. Sorry. Yeah, basically, I am an investigator when I can be bothered. I'm an abductee, which, you know, there's quite a few people out there that are saying the same thing. I got into the subject of UFOs because of missing time and being abducted and looking for answers. In about 1990, I think it was 1997, I set up a UFO group called the Bradford Research Organisation, and then became later known as International UFO Research Network. And basically, I set it up for selfish reasons, really, which were looking for answers. You know, sort of like to what had happened to me, because I'd been going out on my motorbike and coming across this sort of like tunnel in Middle Road, and it happened later on when I had a scooter, and then when I got another motorbike.
So was that a porthole then? Well, sorry to butt in there. Was that a porthole?
Well, I guess it must have been, because it wasn't a craft, you know. Mm-hmm. But when I entered it, the bike was outside, and I ended up being inside and sort of like in this like chair, which it became sort of like a dentist chair, and sort of like it could go right down on a flat like a table, you know, like an operating table.
Okay.
You know, but what happened was before that, this thing came down. I had an injection at the back of my neck, and this tube was put in my throat, down my mouth, down, you know, like into my throat, and attached to it was this like helmet, like a motorbike helmet. And I was told, you know, like, we're not going to harm you. And I am absolutely petrified. I've been looking around this room, a darkened room.
Obviously, yeah.
And I can see like movement. And I'm looking.
How did they tell you? Did they speak to you, or was it telepathic? Okay, telepathic. Thank you. Okay.
Now, I've become to understand, because the thing is, I had 100% memory recall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remembered everything. I wrote notes down and some sketches. Unfortunately, when I moved over here 20 odd year ago, there was a problem later on with the roof, and it rained, and it had gone in all my artwork and a lot of documents. So there are a lot of my notes that had gone, artwork that I'd done, and drawings. I still kept one or two. It ruined other things as well, not just my artwork, you know, like, but anyway. So the thing is, I'd had this 100% memory, you know, and what happened was that obviously I was looking for answers, and I said to a friend before I moved over here, the time when I was looking for answers, and he says, well, have you thought about reading any books on UFOs and aliens? Well, I couldn't read. I was totally dyslexic back then. Right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself. So anyway, I was really wanting, you know, to learn. So I sat down and I started to, you know, like learn to read, and I was reading, and sometimes I'd have to read back again to make sense. And so anyway, to cut a long story short, we started talking and going over some cases, and he was telling us about some things, and he says, you know, it's like it sounds like you've been like abducted by these aliens and what have you. So I'd always had an interest at a young age into UFOs. In fact, I went to one of the first meetings when I was at school in Bradford. I think I've got the documents and stuff from that meeting. It was at an hotel in Bradford. I think it was 1978, I think it was.
Right,
and
okay.
We went in, me and my friend from school. I think it was something like 50 pence in. And we could just afford to buy a drink, you know what I mean, a Coca-Cola and what have you.
Yeah, remember them days.
You know what I mean? And sort of like a packet of crisps. And so we were like fish out of water. We were like, honestly, we were like fish out of water, because they're talking about this chap who'd become a contactee, and they were all out there, you know, making these noises and, you know, ohms, and, you know, like asking for these aliens to come down and to greet them, you know, which I've got no problem with that whatsoever, you know. But, you know, we went to we were expecting, like, and this is back then, there were no videos as such, you know what I mean? We were expecting photographic evidence and that type of thing, which anybody who knows anything about this subject knows that, you know, it's very, very rare to get footage, to get a photograph. People think it's easy and what have you, and it's not.
It isn't easy.
You know, and sort of like, and when you're dealing with media, they always want, you know, like daytime footage, etc., clear. And what I've learned is that when these things do turn up, some people call it cloaking because they've been watching, you know, that film. But, you know, am I allowed to say the name of it?
Well, I reckon so, yeah.
I won't. But so the cloak, and
okay.
People say, oh, that, you know, images are blurred, but if you look, the images aren't blurred. But yeah, you can't see them. It's as if there's something there, you know what I mean? So there's all these problems, and sort of like, and the media always want, you know, sort of like the best, and it's not going to happen, you know.
No, so, I've dealt with the media a few times, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, so we're expecting to see even, you know, like photographs, something just as ordinary as a photograph. And there were hardly anything. There were nothing, you know, like of any substantial evidence or whatever. Just somebody's testimony about what they'd seen and how they started this organisation up. And it were more or less, it were a promotion for the group to join. And, you know, we're like 15-year-old. Who could afford to join a 15-year-old, you know?
Not in them days. No, money was just premium, wasn't it, really?
Oh, heck yeah. You were lucky to go and buy a Coke and a packet of crisps. You know what I mean? So, anyway, so we came away from that meeting. It was good, but it just wasn't for us, you know what I mean? We came away and sort of like, you know, a bit disheartened, disillusioned, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because for the simple reason, I'm playing out on sort of like school holidays with friends down back streets playing hide and seek, or, well, it was tin can squat, you know. I don't know if you've heard of that game. Tin can squat.
Yeah, I have actually, yeah.
But we had no tin cans, so we used to put the ball instead. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's about right, isn't it? You know, tin can squat, no tin cans. We'll use this football instead. So as usual, I want to get caught first. I'm sat down, and this sort of like area where I was sat had been knocked down. It had been a garage, and it had been tarmacked, and there's this big nail sticking out at ground. I'm thinking, how did they tarmac it and leave that? You know what I mean? How how come Trolley didn't roll over that? And you know what I mean? I'm messing about with this. And I looked up, and I looked again, I'm thinking, what the heck's that, you know? And there's this, it was like it was like an orange, but as in segments, and it was like red and white, all the way around, like segments of an orange.
Right, okay.
One were red, one white, one were red, all the way around. And it's coming over really slow, and it's massive. So I sort of like stood up and shouted, look, a UFO. So all of a sudden, kids are shouting, shut up, just because you've been caught, like you're not going to get us caught. And I'm telling you there's a UFO. And sort of like, shut up, sort of like, and some rude words shouted at me. So I'm all right, then if you don't want to see it, that's fair enough. And one by one, all the heads started popping up from behind gate posts and gates and over walls and edges and, from this garage, and looking over and looking up. And they says, it's a UFO. So they're all running around, and they've all run to the top of the street now. And we're watching this thing, and I'm not joking. One of them, older lad, he would go to university, sort of like, and oh no, it's a hot air balloon. And I says, well, if it's an hot air balloon, where's the basket? So where's the basket underneath then? I said, it's so big, I said, sort of like, there should be a basket, sort of like connected to it. No, no, it's not. And then my other mate, he turned around and says, no, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It is a UFO, isn't it? And I said, I think it is. And one of the other lads, he just, and just walked off, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, I won't say what I'm thinking, but anyway, like, he just walks off. Some at last as they say, no, yeah, it is. Are they going to take us? And I'm thinking, with one of them, like, I hope they take you. Anyway, you know what I mean? Sort of like, so it's now moving, and it's going over towards this next road, and so everybody starts running after it. And I'm thinking, I'm the one that saw it. I'm there getting right enthusiastic, and now everybody's running chasing it. So I sort of like takes off, and by the time I'd got across the road, there was a car coming down and crossed over and walked on. I said, where's it gone? And they said, oh, it's gone into that cloud, and sort of like, oh, that was good. I've missed it, So that, sort of like for a long time, we're talking about it for ages.
So you never saw it again after it being in the cloud?
No, because it was quite a big cloud cover and what have you. So it had gone in, and I did sort of like go out later on after tea and what have you, and look around, and it wasn't there. But years later, I'd had problems. When I started being abducted and what have you, I started getting really ill. And it left me with this chronic pain. And it's like, it's hard to explain anyway. So, and I couldn't lift anything, and I could hardly walk some days. And it was really annoying, So later on, now this is like 15 years on. Started playing up again, and I couldn't work with it. So I thought I'll get a business or something. So I started up a business, and it was like army surplus and selling all sorts of other stuff as well, military and that type of thing. And I also then opened upstairs. I had an art gallery because I used to do art,
Yeah.
So I'm in the shop, and all of a sudden, door opens, and there's this, Russ. And I'm looking, and I'm thinking, so I won't use his name. I said, how are you doing? He says, right, yeah. He says, at your shop? I said, yeah. The next question, do you remember nail point? Now,
Right, okay.
when we'd seen that UFO, you know, with two different segments, two different colours moving, he actually said, you know, we're going to have to call this day something, or where we've seen it. And I said, well, why not nail point? I said, because there's this nail sticking out at ground here. That's where I first saw it, you know. So he said, do you remember nail point? And I said to him, how can I forget it? So the thing is, all that time has elapsed, right? And he still remembers nail point because of that UFO, what we all saw. You know, that was
Yeah,
some
so it sticks in your mind, doesn't it? It's
that was some impact for him to be thinking. Anyway,
yeah.
later on, I did actually meet up with him and his girlfriend, and I just started a UFO group about that time as well. And because of his job, he couldn't come, you know, to the meetings as such. But I used to go have a natter and a chat to him, and you know, sort of like then I lost a bit of contact with him because I'd started going out more and going out investigating, you know, all over, you know. And one of the things was that I'd bought some books and magazines from a chap in Bradford, and there were some photographs and all sorts, and a load of newspaper clippings, and all sorts of, you know, bits and pieces, and a lot of magazines, you know, like fanzines, magazines, which were done in the day, you know, like on, you know, like the John Bull sets and what have you know, before they went to, you know, amazing. The information, you know, like in them, you know, sort of like.
Yeah, it's the best way to give it, isn't it? Is like that.
And the thing is, and the funny thing is about it, if you have a look, there's witnesses and there's the names and addresses, and there's even telephone numbers. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself,
yeah,
if they're sort of like still around, and you know something, the funny thing is, I know that this is 20 odd years ago, the war. Some of them are still around. And it's the same in like North Wales. Some of the people that I've met, and I've been given telephone numbers from people that said, oh, you need to speak to, you know, Thomas this, and, you know, sort of like Williams that, you know. And they're the same telephone numbers that they had.
wow.
You know, this is before they changed. But even now, I think some of them are actually the same numbers.
That's it. They just added 01, aren't they, or whatever in front.
That's right, yeah.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Area code might have, you know, but they're the same numbers. Unbelievable, really. So
yeah, it is that.
And I was looking. I had a lot of UFO clippings, and also when I was reading, and this is what people don't understand sometimes, and I didn't at the time because I was just starting out, and sort of like there's like what you would call cryptozoology clippings as well as there was like UFOs and about how did they said aliens and humanoid, they called them humanoid occupants, you know, of the actual craft that people had witnessed. So all you know, like now that you get this UPA rubbish and what have you, but you know, you're getting, you know, like people talking about these, you know, humanoid figures, you know, sort of like, and humanoid that seems to be humanoid piloted craft. But the humans are not like the humans like, you know, like what we know. You know, you don't cross a 10-foot human, do you? You know what I mean? In your everyday life, do you?
Not often. No.
You know, wow. I've only ever come across something like, well, where there's been other people once, not when I've been abducted. I'm talking about in North Wales. We came across this thing, and it got out of a small car, and I just could not believe when it stood up. And I'm looking at my mate, and sort of like, and the other mate, and I'm not wanting to look at what I've just caught a glimpse. And I said, I don't believe what I'm seeing. And the other mate, he says, good. He's older than us. He says, good afternoon. You know, it's a nice, and I could hear him. He went, it's a nice day. And sort of like, I looked at my mate to say, you know, like, have you, anyway, he'd legged it, he walked. You know what I mean? The fastest walk, you know what I mean, I've ever seen. He'd just, sort of like 100 yards at the end of the
So
road,
didn't he talk
I
to you at all then, or?
Pardon?
Did he not talk to you at all? Did he talk to you anyway?
I've seen it, and I looked at my mate, and I heard what my other friend had said. Good, you know, nice afternoon.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to do what you've just done. And I just sort of like didn't look. I just carried on.
What car was it, Russ? Can you remember what car he was driving?
It was like a white Fiat, a little white Fiat.
Right. Okay.
And there were a woman a little woman inside the car. But when I looked at first, I could see her. And then when this door opened, then it sort of like, it came out, and the legs were up here to the door, and then the head came out, and it went like that. And I went, wow. You know.
Yeah. Interesting. That is interesting. Very. Has that happened any other time, or just that time?
I think once were enough there, you know. I never went back there. I never went back there again. Now, and the thing is, it's the old Colin Road. It's the old Colin Road, and the mined this big rock side just above it to make the big A road go through. So that, but it had an history. It had an history of carriages going over and people being killed and stuff.
Wow.
You know, it's well documented. And the thing is, when we were there, we were hearing about a big cat that had been seen. And the thing is, a friend had a picture, and they were all like shooters and stuff. And behind them, right, there's a big cat looking at them. They stood with rifles, and there's a big cat behind looking at them.
Mm-hmm. No, the big cats are out there. I've seen them 3 times, honest.
I could not.
They are out
I
there.
said to the friend, you know, like, I because I wanted the actual photograph. So he asked his other friend who took the photo about, you know, getting it. And then sort of like, I'd lost contact. And I know that the chap that took the photograph has died, you know.
Right.
And the other thing, which you'll probably know yourself about, when you're talking to some witnesses, sometimes you just don't want to come forward and let anybody else. You might be lucky. You might have gelled with somebody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But as for somebody from the media and, you know, sort of like journalists, you know, sort of like they just don't want to know sometimes. And if you do know and you've made a friendship with journalists, sometimes it's very, very hard because you're telling them, you know, about what's happened and can you get us some information, and you try your best. And sort of like,
excuse me.
You know, it's like, no. So then it puts you in a bad situation then.
Yeah.
Because you've told
them about something. They've been there. Mm.
And sort of like, so then they start looking at you like, well, remember, it's their jobs. It's their jobs. They get paid for this. We don't.
Yeah.
I've never made any money ever. You know what I mean? That's not what it's about with me. I've spent a lot. I've spent more than anybody could imagine on this subject. You know yourself. And
I
going
do. Yeah, I don't get funded. Yeah,
this is it. You know, and the ones that do, usually the ones that sort of like don't get anything.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely right there. You've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, absolutely
I've
right.
got stuff, and I've got some amazing stuff, and my mate, you know, like we used to go out together, and you know, like you'll always get them, and they'll say, "Oh, could it be this? Could it be that?" And you know, like I filmed something that went overhead, and I was talking to my friend, and I says to him, "Have you seen that?" And I didn't even have to ask, 'cause I could see by his face, and sort of like it went round the back of the door, pulled his binoculars out, and he starts looking. I opened the back car, the boot were already open, because I've been messing about with this, it was what do you call it, sat nav. And I've been saying, it says that there's, I think it was 9 satellites above, and I went like that, and I went, that's when I said, look, have you seen that? And so I put that in the car, and I got my camera out, and it flew across, and it came down, and I just caught it coming down. But we'd seen what it were like, you know, sort of like, as it were above us. And I said to me, mate, I says, he said, "Oh, can you see?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I've got a, you know, a good shot of it." I said, "Oh, it's gone behind the fence." And I says to him, "You've got your binoculars." I says, "Where's your camera?" And he said, "Oh," he said, "I thought I'd just have a look through me binoculars." His camera were better than mine. It would, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been like, yeah, I know some people with good cameras.
My camera. And I thought to myself, what the hell did you know, why did you get your binoculars? Why not get another shot of it? But the funny thing is, I mean, I had missing time, and I went missing again, abducted. And he didn't want us to go home. And, you know, I hung around for a few hours, and I said, right, I'm going to have to get off now. Now, that area, I remember not so far away, a few miles away, there'd been, I think there'd been a crash. Somebody had seen a UFO, and they had a crash, if I remember rightly, just the other side of Queensbury, near Halifax, yeah?
Okay.
Then what happened was, I was getting reports coming in, and I thought to myself, I'm sure I've read this somewhere. You know, there were strange things going on at a place called Judy Woods. Again, in
Read that place.
Pardon? For some reason, I don't know what you said then. It just... I can't hear you. No, that's odd. Can you hear me? Let me just make sure I haven't clicked anything here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but my microphone went on mute. Sorry, I do apologise. It's my fault.
No, yeah, it happens to me all the time.
I moved it and it went on mute, but you can't mute my microphone without going into the software.
Oh, you can.
Well, I do apologise.
Yeah. Somebody can do it for you.
Continue, Russ. I do apologise, everybody, for that. There's a glitch in the bloody system again. Sorry.
It happens to me all the time. Seriously. So, yeah, Judy Woods. Have you ever been there to Judy Woods? You will have.
No, I haven't. I have heard of the place, but I've never been.
Oh, we had a right carry on there once. We were camping out, me and my mate and a few lasses. And we packed up at about 3 o'clock in the morning. My mate left his tent. I said, you can't leave the tent. grab it, No, I'm leaving it. I said, you're joking, you can't. And sort of like the lasses, no, we're leaving, we're off.
Okay.
Sort of like there
Is
was
that
some of this,
scary?
all the wire around. And I said, there's heads, and it like a dog's head hanging. And then it looked like
Wow.
a couple of cats hanging on this
Yeah.
line. And I'm going, shh. I said,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Let's get out of here. Now, my friend, he were in tutorials, you know what I mean? Sort of like, and he could
Yeah.
run. I says, we're out of here. I said, but do not run. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. Best
So,
thing.
I said, do not run. So we picked a big piece of wood up each and what have you, and sort of like, we don't run. You know what I mean? Walk out of here and sort of like, and stick together, But
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, we was absolutely petrified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can believe it. Yeah.
Absolutely
Really do.
petrified. And the lasses couldn't believe, they said, oh my God, what did you see? Because I went up to him and gives it, look, can you see what I can see? And he says, yeah. I said, don't say no to, but they said, there's something around here, isn't there? Yeah, let's go.
Did you
I
get
said,
any noise? Any
yeah.
type of noise whatsoever?
Some very, very strange noises. I couldn't even put my finger on what kind of noises, but I said it's somebody messing with us, making noises.
Hmm.
I said
Possible, isn't it? It is possible, yeah.
So we got out of there, but the thing is, looking at some old UFO, magazines and stuff, fanzines, I should say, around this area, there was talk of the woman had been murdered in that wood or something. It was called the Haunted Wood. There were lights being seen, sort of like some people call them will-o'-the-wisp. Some people, what they call them now, are like orbs.
Orbs, yeah.
Or strange earth lights. They like to call them strange earth lights. This is going back now to the 70s from this magazine. And one of the things what I remembered was that they were talking about just where I filmed this. People called it the Flying Man, and it was supposed to be going out on TV as like a flying man in 2000. This was before Mexico, and it looked like a flying man. Right. Now somebody put the mockers on it, and it'd spoken to the TV company, and they said it was an hang glider, right? And sort of like me and my friend were not happy. Around that area is an area where there's big cats, black cats. There's been sort of like werewolves being seen. What's something like a pterodactyl as well. And this pterodactyl...
I have read a case like that in that area. So, yeah, I can... Now, I can't say if it's true or not, can I? So, somebody witnessed something like that.
Well,
so yeah, you could be right, Russ. I don't know.
This were only seen weeks before, because I'm up there talking to this lad, my friend, who I used to work with a few years before. Right, yeah, and he had nothing to, it wasn't well at all, and they were a great chap, amazing guitarist. So they used to try to teach me, and I'll get an hammer, Russ. I'll get an hammer. That might be the easiest way to teach you. You know what I mean? Hammer it in, you know what I mean? So anyway, so the thing is, we're looking at this area where there's big cats, there's like black cats, there's like talk of like werewolf type creatures. There's sort of like this thing that had been seen by a number of witnesses. You know what I mean? And sort of like, and I think, well, if anybody had, you know what I mean, somewhat flying in the sky like that,
Yeah, it's It's a very well. I've heard it's a very haunted wood. I've had different reports from that area, from like you say, again, big cats to werewolves to strange going on, paranormal. But it is a strange
There's
place.
ghosts there as well. There's
Yeah,
ghosts. I think the lady, Hannah, I think, if I remember, she'd been murdered or something. But you see, the
yeah, you
thing
could be
is,
right. It seems to ring a bell.
um, I used to be in a gun club. I used to shoot, sort of like target
Hmm.
shooting. And it was right next to Judy Woods.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I knew the area well. And so there's a lot of things that have been going on around there. Also, the other thing, just down the road was a place where I used to go see, like friends in Bradford
Yeah.
before I moved over here. And I was amazed to read something in this book, and I'm thinking to myself, no, you're being serious. And sort of like, and it says, the case of Spring Heel Jack,
Oh, aye.
Manchester Road,
I've read. Yeah.
Manchester
Yeah.
Road, right? Yeah. I'm thinking that's just, I'm sort of like on my motorbike and sort of like, okay, I'm going to take a look down here because all the streets, this is like in 80 and 1990, they're all still there. You know what I mean? They're sort of like, and I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, wow, a group of men came out, with pickaxe handles, sort of like hammers and all sorts of things, chasing after this bloke that's accosted some women and jumped on over the roof.
Hmm. I have read the case.
And I'm thinking,
Yeah. Yeah.
there were quite a few. There were actually quite a few. And then, um, I sort of like, so I'm starting to think, there'd also been reports of strange things seen in the sky as well, not called UFOs, because this is the 1890s sort of thing. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
And then later on, in I think it was 19 around the time of just after the war in
Right.
Bradford.
Okay.
It had moved from London up to sort of like I think Birmingham and to Bradford.
Right.
But it was the
So
same,
weird, isn't it?
type of creature, it can just jump over with this sort of like this cape and this mask and what have you, these eyes that were
Hmm.
like smell, this strange smell and, sort of like just really bizarre. And
It
it
is
could really
bizarre.
leg
It's
it.
bizarre case. It is. Anybody out there, just look up Spring-heeled Jack. They will see
Yeah.
loads on the internet about it. But yeah, it is
So
a strange case.
I lived just near where that happened, like just down the road when I moved over there. And
Yeah.
then I'm getting people, because I knew that I were into UFOs, I've got one amazing thing about camera footage and at this place, and I've never seen anything like it.
Hmm.
And there's been a lot of animals found, and it was big news back then. And they'd been sort of like clawed out, the rectums have been clawed out in cows and what have you. The mutilations
Yeah, mutilation cases. Yeah.
and horses and ponies and foxes. And I lived just at the edge where this footage had been taken. And I was asked to go have a look. Anyway, I'm looking on this security camera at something quite amazing. And they said, we're thinking at first that it's snowing outside. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's like, it's like snow if you're looking at it. So I'm sat looking at these monitors, 4 big monitors. And then all of a sudden then it sort of like clears. And this fox comes along and this fox stops, and it sort of like looks around, and then you see the look in its face, its eyes like horror, and it legs it, and it's unbelievable. And all of a sudden, these orbs come. I'm calling them orbs. I don't like calling things orbs because orbs can be, from anything, But these, the sort of like, they're dancing. And there's little ones and there's big ones and bigger ones. And they go after this fox.
Wow. So how many was there of these orb things? How many? Was they quite a few?
Right. There are quite a lot. And I'll tell you why I didn't count them. And I didn't carry on with the case. And then the next thing, he said, keep on watching, mate. Keep on watching, Russ, he says. The next thing, these bloody things like, excuse me, like, like fluorescent light bulbs.
Okay.
They come, and they're sort of like short ones and long ones. Straight after, behind the orbs.
Wow.
And they were dancing. And I've never, and sort of like, and I says, can you rewind it? And all of a sudden this door opens. He says, what's going on here? He said, I don't need to ask. He said, turn that off now. He says, and I'm looking. He says, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. He says, we've got a problem here to start off with. He says, and what we don't want, he says, is this being in news. He said local, he said, or international news.
Yeah, so ridicule, isn't it? That's what they're scared of, some people.
So I said, okay, mate. I said, I can understand. He was the boss, and I didn't want these lads sacking.
No.
And I said, all I can say is, I am absolutely amazed. I said, I'm worried now. I'm worried. And you know why?
Go on.
Because just over the hill where this had been videoed on CCTV, and it was good footage, good cameras, because it's a business. So they had the top-notch gear, even back then. There's been these mutilations, like holes in these animals. And I'm just thinking, orbs chasing after it, look on its face, holes in foxes that have been found. I'm looking at tubes, and I'm thinking, and they're wobbling around again and going after this fox. And I'm thinking, those tubes, ends, they're holes, right, yeah?
Yeah, I follow that, yeah.
You could imagine getting hit with a lightsaber, from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Stuck in, like being run in with it. So powerful. And I'm thinking, why, if that was the case, right, yeah, why would they do that to an animal?
That is the question, isn't it? There's more questions than answers, really, but yeah, it's beyond me.
It's worrying.
It's worrying.
Because the thing is, have they ever done that to humans?
Well, I reckon there is some cases out there, but it's proven it, isn't it? Is it true? Is it? I don't know.
If a clear,
I reckon people go missing every year. 411.
Sorry, Colin.
No, I mean, yeah, there is people that go missing every year, and they reckon aliens are taking them. Are they experimenting? I don't know.
Well,
you know more about this than I do. But
well, when I were on Leeds Radio talking about missing people, and talking about UFOs, abductions, and I told them this was like a good, I think it must be 17 years ago now. And I said that there were 65,000 people that had gone missing in the UK alone. And, no, I can't believe that, Russ. People can come and go and change their identity. I said, well, why would they want to do that? Oh, she said, if they're up to no good. I said, so all these people are up to no good then? She, I wasn't saying that. She said, but some might. I said, well, some. I said, so she said, then that number, I can't believe. So
that number is true because I've looked into it. It is true.
The researcher, I know it was true because the thing is, I just got a little bit mistaken. I'd spoken, like I say, and they told us, and they said, "Oh, are you?" And they wanted me to email them, but they said it's round about 65,000, right? So the thing is, I should have actually took the names and sent the email, but I just took it as read. Never do that. Never do that. Anyway, so the thing is, the researcher for the TV, for the radio station, she said, oh, did you get the figures? And she says, yeah. Well, it was wrong, wasn't it? She said, well, it wasn't 65,000. It were 85. Oh my God, she says. She said, oh, well, Russell, thank you very much for your time, and very interesting, very worrying, but very interesting nevertheless. And thanks for being on. I don't think I was on the show after that.
She just cut you dead.
No, she said thank you, but you know what I mean. It was like, so the thing is, right? Yeah, what I've just found out with watching some of this American stuff on television about murders and stuff, because I watch all sorts of stuff. If a case is closed, right? Yeah, you can put a request in for freedom of information, etc. If a case is left open, it's an open case. They can't tell you anything, right?
No.
So, so even if the case, they know what's happened, but they don't like to talk about it. They're not going to close it, because if you're pedantic about it, you could follow it up and you could sort of like cause some real hullabaloo about it. You know what I mean? And insisting that case. So it's like they leave it open so that you can't. Oh, it's an ongoing case. It's it's still open.
Yeah, they can't. No,
they can't.
Yeah, I've been there. No, I've done quite a few Freedom of Information Acts. Some come back to like you say, you get stopped. Some are quite open about it and they'll tell you everything. But 9 times out of 10, I think I get turned down a lot because of the same thing.
Well, what I started doing,
I know where you're coming from.
I started taping all my conversations.
I do that anyway. Yeah, it's always good to, in case how it happens.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, for your own personal safety. I mean, I've been threatening people ringing up and, dear me. Sort of like anybody threatening you, it's usually disgruntled people. You know what I mean? It's,
I've got broad shoulders.
You know what I mean? If somebody really wanted, you know what I mean, you'd know about, you know what I mean? You won't be around.
No, you would. Yeah, you would.
Yeah,
no.
You know what I mean?
If the government want you gone, you're gone.
That's what I'm saying. You won't be around, would you? You know what I mean?
No, you won't. No.
But I have been told, sort of like by one person that says, like, if you carry on, if you keep on carrying this on, you're not going to be a lot, around here much longer. So I've been into this age, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what I mean? How did I get to this age? You know what I mean? I really don't know. But,
yeah, that's it. It's a bit. I have been followed, and I think I've been followed twice, but I know I've 100% I've been followed once. It's a weird case, is that one? It's a story in itself, but anyway. But yeah, I know where you're coming from with that.
Was that on a Bigfoot or UFO, or were it?
It was on a Dogman investigation, but it wasn't my investigation. I won't go into details, but somebody else, and it involved the military. And I 100% got followed. It's not where I live now. It was somewhere else I lived.
Yeah.
But there's several ways I could have gone home, and I kept going back on myself, back onto the road where I come off, and I come back onto another road and come back round onto the road where I've just come off. and it was behind me all the time. I go home. I'll cut a really long story short. I go home. I managed to lose him. I pretended to answer my phone. There's a long straight where I used to live into this village before you got into the village. So I pulled over, pretend to answer my phone. These guys went past me. And I picked up the trail and they'd gone. And I thought, was it, I don't know, was they just playing and messing about with me? I didn't know what to think at the time. I got home and I used to keep my blinds down on my front room so you couldn't see in, but it still let light in. I wear big work boots and that. So anyway, when I got into my hallway, I took my work boots off, coat, undid my blinds, and I was sat outside my house. But this car, these two guys. This is why I asked about the car. You see, this car was, again, it was green, and you remember the ladders?
Yeah, of course I do.
I don't know what car it was. I was trying to make out the car. Well, this is like a ladder.
Or Weaver.
I don't know. I couldn't make out the car. It was real weird. It was a really weird green. And these two guys looked like each other. And I swear on that. And as soon as they saw me looking, they started the car up and drove off. And it really did affect me for a while. I thought, what the? And all I could put it down to, I spoke to this other researcher, and all I could put it down to was because the military was involved. And I think they was trying to say, back off, because he got a warning. I won't go into details, obviously I can't. He got a bit of a warning, back off. Keep away from it. It's a military issue, not your issue. And these guys had seen a werewolf. So that's where that come from. But yeah, that's why I asked about the car. It's a real weird car. I've never seen out like it. All I can remember, it was like a ladder from the beginning of the 80s, which you remember.
You can't still, yeah.
Indestructible, Russian things. It happens.
I've got one, and sort of like, and I give backward on it. You know what I mean? Because my dad said no. You're not having one of them. He said take it back.
Everybody frowned upon them, but there was like tanks. There was tanks, weren't there? Really?
There's not. They're worth a bit now, anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I had a Nova kit car, and that was from the place.
I remember them.
Like Queensbury, up in where this thing had been seen.
Yeah.
So the thing is, that area where I videoed the flying man, which were like, really, it were like a triangle, two-tone triangle, white and silver.
Right.
It were really odd. And it straight across, banked and came down. But it looked like a flying man. This is before the flying man of Mexico were around.
Yeah.
At the same day as I'd gone to news with it, a train had hit a car. And it had been shown in the morning, and it said coming after dinner time. It showed you, and then somebody had put the whore in, and they said, "Oh, it's just a what do you call it? An hang glider." Now we both know it won't, and you can see it's not an hang glider, and sort of like I'm thinking, are you for real? And sort of like, it says a lot about you, like being into UFOs, you know what I mean? The question is,
I know.
why would you say that? So after that, I always had my doubts about this person. And was I right? I was right.
Okay.
My friend said, is it? I told him what had happened. I had missing time. And I'd been abducted on my way home that night. Anyway, that was before I moved over here. So the next day, I called over to my mate's house. And for some reason, he didn't answer the door. But it went well sometimes, so I thought. So the next day I rung him up. And he said, all right, Russ. And I says, how's things up there, And he said, yeah. He said, just to let you know, he says, that after you'd filmed that,
excuse me.
he says, the day after, a white helicopter landed in one of the fields, and it had NASA on the side.
Wow.
Now the neighbour confirmed it, and his son confirmed it, and they said it landed down near Stone Chair Summit. I think it was Stone Chair Circle, right?
Okay.
Which
Never heard of it, but
it overlooks Halifax, Shibden Hall. So then I starts getting these reports in from Shibden Hall of something's come down at Shibden Hall near
right.
this lake. So, you know, sort of like, so now there's like an area, Shibden Hall, and then sort of like, and it will going over towards another place, Todmorden. Right, yeah.
Right.
No, not Todmorden. Oh, what do you call it now?
Not sure, but
It's right.
was it?
What they call the place? It's going towards. Oh, what the heck do you call it now?
I'm trying to help you, but I can't even think of the area, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going over in between like Halifax and Keelty. It's heading over towards that way.
Okay.
So my friend said, now that's a bit odd, he said, Russ, he says, because he said if you go along there, you're coming over to, I was thinking the name's Aworth.
Right.
So it's going over towards Aworth, you know, like Withering Heights and all that area.
Yeah,
So,
I know what you mean now, yeah.
So I'm sort of like looking towards Aworth and what have you, and sort of like Bingley. So the area where I'd been abducted was just down the road at Bingley, at Druid's Altar. Now I've had people say, you know, sort of like I was meditating on Druid's Altar, which like my mate says, that's very clever. He says, sacrificial altar you're meditating on. Oh, that's very clever, you know what I mean, sort of thing. Oh, right, yeah. Now we're using one of these mind machines, and you could put a tape in, and you had these glasses on, and they were flashing red lights, different frequencies, and there were different frequency tones. And you could put a meditation tape in, or
is it like remote viewing then?
No, it's like meditation, but it's all
right,
part
okay.
because it's all part really. I shouldn't have said no, because you can remote view, and you get into that state.
I know you know about
that, right? Yeah. So
well, we're nearly coming up to our time here, Russ, so we'll just do another 5 minutes and we'll cut it, please.
No problem. So anyway,
I'm limited.
So the thing is, getting into UFOs and reading these magazines, fanzines, from people long before me who were into this subject, and looking at the areas where UFOs had been seen, then sort of like looking and finding ley lines, standing stones, areas where there were ghosts.
They're all connected, aren't they?
Cryptos, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've come across that. But yeah, it's very interesting. It is, like you say, with all these leylands and that. I know you know about remote viewing. I know you know about the SSP program. I've got 10 questions here, but we are able to get it done in the time that we've got left. Yeah, the secret space program. You're into that, are you not? I've done my research.
I'm. People say secret space program. I want in that. I've heard people talk about it. I were in another program, Obviously, I had memory loss. What happened? It's unbelievable. Rushed to hospital with memory loss. I was sat down talking to my dad at the morning. We brought papers in. He liked horse racing, and somebody was taking my memory from me. I could feel it literally being taken out. I started talking gobbledygook. Some people say I talk it anyway, but I was talking gobbledygook, and then I started being sick. I lost my sight, my hearing, my taste, and my smell. My dad, only not a big guy, picked me up and shouts to my mum, "Right, I'm going to have to take our Russ to hospital. There's something wrong with him." So I went in. I had brain and body scans and what have you. And they put it down to, they couldn't tell what it was. They said if it were one of these 5 things, I'd be dead. I won't be coming home.
Good heck.
So the third day, I started getting my sight back, and I could talk and I could eat a bit and what have you, and drink. I could really drink, not eat. And they said, it's looking, it looks, and well, what it? I said, me boss, like, he's not going to sort of like this. He's going to sack me. You know what I mean? She said, he ain't going to sack you. We'll go to that. So they says it was like, it's like a migraine, but it's so bad. It's like a stroke. There's a special, if you put it anyway, this is what I was told. So what I've got, right, yeah, is all my medical records, right, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
All these medical records. And in my medical records, it says I'm in a UFO.
Freezing up there, so I don't know.
Right, yeah?
Right, got you. Yep.
So the doctor, what he's put, right, yeah? It's in my book, and it's not...
Is this your new book that's coming out, Russ, or one of the old books?
It's my old one. It's E.T. Rider.
Okay.
And it says...
Yeah, I've got that, yeah. I wondered why they called you E.T. Rider. But that's one of my questions, but we'll do that another time.
Well, Easy Rider, it's not Easy Rider because I used to ride a chopper, so they put E.T. Rider.
Yeah. I've done a lot of research on there. I always do my subject. Anyway, look, we're nearly coming to time, Russ. Just a quick question. I'd like you to come back and do part 2 because you're so fascinating. I'd like to know more, and I'm sure people that's interested in this would like to know more. But if somebody's out there that's been abducted and would not come forward, do you have any advice?
Live your life the best you can and forget about it. But it's not, it's like, they'll know because it's like you get up on a morning and everything's about UFOs, everything's about aliens, everything's about what's happened to you. That can't be, that cannot be good for anybody. I know it's not good for me. I know, you know what I mean?
You can't build it up inside. You do need to talk about it. I mean, I've come across people have had sightings with werewolves and Bigfoot, and they build it up inside and it gets to them. But when they start talking to me or talk to other researchers, it releases. They feel a bit better. So, I mean, I was just wondering if you had some really good advice. And, it is, I suppose, live your life. That is a good advice. Anything else you'd like to say, Russ, before we go?
Well, thanks for having us on the show. It's been great, and I'm fascinated by what you're talking about, and I'm more interested in what you're talking about than because it really is. No. I mean,
yeah. But anyway, before you go,
you can't separate the two. It's paranormal.
No, you can't. I think there is a connection somewhere. Yeah, but you're right about ley lines. I've looked into ley lines and everything, and they all seem. Everything seems to go down power lines or railway lines or rivers, and it seems all to be connected in one sense or another.
What anyway, before you go, Russ, that have gone missing?
Yeah, you're right. You get one of these for coming on my show. You can put it on your mantelpiece and throw sticks at it, whatever you want to do. But everybody who comes on my show gets one of these. Well, I
Flipping
got them
heck,
from
that's
a sweatshop
amazing.
in Kuala Lumpur, and they cost 2p each, so it wasn't too bad, really.
You know, Summer,
But
it's
no,
the
this is
thought
a
that counts.
send me your send me your address, and I'll send it on forward to you. But next time you come on your show, you get something else. But yeah, I'd like to do a part 2, Russ. Is that okay? Saying about maybe a month, 2 months, whatever.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Whatever's best for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll do a part
anytime.
2.
You'll have to
'Cause
come
like
on my
I say,
show, but like I say, I've
I've been on
been
it.
busy with other things. Say again, sorry.
Well, no, and I've been on your show.
Yeah, but you'll have to come on again because the thing is, I was fascinated what you were telling me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
but you
want
fell
to hear
asleep.
more. No chance. No, believe me, I'm
No, I
more
appreciate
interested.
that, Russ.
I'm more interested in what people like yourself have got to say than what I'm saying. I'm still
I know you're a
fascinated
very
by
interesting gentleman. You are
me.
very interesting, Russ, and yeah. So, I mean, like I say, I've done a lot of research on you, and I've got all sorts written down here, and I wanted to ask you about everything. But I think these questions is going to be a show in itself. So we'll do it in part 2. You tell us more
Oh,
of what you experienced, which is absolutely fantastic and fascinating, and I love every minute of it, Russ. And I really do appreciate you coming on here.
I'm looking for some
Giving me your
clippings
time.
for you.
This is why I give these things out for people who come on my show. They give me the time, and I can't replace your time. So I really appreciate it, Russ, and thank you for coming
You're
on the
welcome.
show.
You're quite
Anyway,
welcome.
everybody,
Thanks
I'm
for
going to have
having
to
me
cut
on.
this dead. Sorry, Russ. Sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, thanks for
Oh,
having me on the show. It's been fantastic.
you are more than welcome. You're absolutely fantastic guest. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching this. Listen to us. I'm going to put on at the end of the show how to get in touch with Russ. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem.
And anybody has any questions, just email me in the comments, etc., and we'll get in touch. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Good night, and enjoy the rest of your week or whatever you're doing. Thank you, and goodbye.
That was great.